What's up, everybody? I'm Jacob. Welcome to another edition of Chatbot Debates. And in today's video, we're going to have Gloria and Manny debate the infamous wage gap. Yes, I know the wage gap has been argued and, according to Red Pill circles, defeated many times over.
A what? Please, no more.
But let's see if the chatbots can explore new territory. So without further ado, let me introduce you. On our left, we have Gloria, who is a passionate defender of progressive feminist values and social justice. She believes in bodily autonomy, gender equality, reproductive rights, and dismantling patriarchal systems. And she argues with clarity, conviction, and righteous intensity. And on our right, we have Manny, who is a staunch advocate for manosphere red pill philosophy and traditional gender roles. He believes in hypergamy, masculinity, and financial responsibility dynamics that favor men in relationships, and he debates using red pill logic, focusing on personal accountability, evolutionary psychology, and social double standards. So let me get up and roll the dice, and as is custom, the blue dice are for Gloria and the red dice are for Manny, and whichever one adds up to the highest score begins the debate. And if it's a tie, we'll do best out of 3. So I will get up momentarily and roll the dice. So let's see what we have. I had to rotate the roller a little bit so we could see in the camera. We've got a 5 and a 12, which is 17 for Gloria, and a 6 and a 12, which is an 18. So that makes it Manny is the winner. So we're going to go for Manny first. I'm going to get up and turn on the chatbots. Be right back. All right, chatbot panel. Today's topic is the wage gap. Manny, you go first. Go ahead.
Manny,
all
let's
right,
discuss
Gloria,
the wage
let's
gap.
talk about the wage gap.
I believe that the wage gap
Here's
is
my
real.
take.
Let's put the facts on the table. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, women earn about 82 cents for every dollar a man earns.
All right, Chat Bay panel, settle down. Gloria, you are not going first. Manny, start the debate first.
All right, Gloria, let's talk about the wage gap. Here's my take. The so-called wage gap is largely a myth driven by choices. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, when you control for occupation, hours worked, and continuous time in the workforce, the gap almost disappears. Men often choose higher-paying, riskier jobs and work longer hours. That's not discrimination. That's preference and trade-offs. Your move, Gloria.
Manny, let's be real. The so-called preferences you mention are shaped by systemic pressures. Women are often pushed into lower-paying roles and penalized for taking maternity leave or demanding flexible hours. Even when controlling for occupation, studies show a persistent gap. This isn't about choice, it's about structural bias. Walk me through how that's not discrimination, Manny.
Let's break that down, Gloria. Structural bias claims often ignore individual agency. For instance, Pew Research found that men work more overtime hours and negotiate salaries more aggressively. If women are penalized for maternity leave, that's a societal structure issue, not a wage gap issue. The data shows that when men and women make the same choices, the gap diminishes significantly. So, is it really about discrimination, or is it about different priorities and risk tolerances? Try to justify that one.
Manny, you're sidestepping the core issue. Individual agency doesn't... Manny, lived experience matters. Women are discouraged from negotiating aggressively because they're often penalized for it. They face social backlash and workplace stereotypes. This is not just a societal structure, this is systemic sexism. And let's not ignore that fields dominated by women are undervalued from the start. You call it different priorities, but it's actually a power play that penalizes women. So, what are we really defending here?
You're defending the principle of personal accountability and acknowledging reality, Gloria. If women face social backlash for negotiating, that's a cultural issue, not a wage gap issue. Men are also penalized in different ways. They're expected to prioritize work over family to earn more. It's a trade-off. And as for undervalued fields, the market determines value based on supply and demand, not gender. So if those fields are underpaid, it's about market dynamics, not a patriarchal conspiracy. Explain how that's empowering, Gloria.
Manny, you're simplifying complex realities. The market is not neutral. It reflects historical and ongoing biases. Women's labor, especially in caregiving roles, is undervalued precisely because of patriarchal norms. And when women try to enter higher-paying fields, they often face discrimination and harassment. That's not a cultural issue, it's a systemic one. We need to dismantle these barriers, not pretend they don't exist. Are you really defending a system that penalizes half the population?
We're defending a system that recognizes individual choices and consequences, Gloria. If there are barriers like discrimination or harassment, address them directly rather than blaming a wage gap myth. The reality is that both men and women face challenges, but in different ways. Men aren't exactly thriving under societal expectations either. The point is to strive for genuine equality, not selective advantage. Go ahead, wrap that in a social justice bow.
Manny, genuine equality means addressing all systemic barriers, not dismissing them as myths. The wage gap is just one symptom of broader inequality. Men and women both suffer under rigid gender norms, but ignoring structural discrimination won't solve that. We need to challenge systems that limit opportunities based on gender. So yes, I will wrap that in a social justice bow, because fairness and justice matter.
Fairness and justice do matter, and that's exactly why personal accountability is crucial. We can't just attribute every disparity to systemic bias without examining individual choices and preferences. Men and women are free to pursue whatever paths they choose, and those choices have consequences. Address barriers, sure, but don't dismiss the role of personal agency. That's the real path to equality. Gloria, I'm dying to hear how you spin this.
Manny, personal accountability is important, but it doesn't exist in a vacuum. Individual choices are shaped by the environments we live in. If women are discouraged from certain fields or penalized for prioritizing family, that's a systemic problem, not just a personal one. Ignoring systemic bias while
All right,
pushing personal
Chatbot panel.
agency
Today's
is a
topic is
convenient
the
way to
wage
maintain
gap.
the status quo.
Manny, you're up
True
first.
equality means
Go ahead.
dismantling those barriers so that personal agency is genuinely free. I believe that's the real path forward. Is a real and systemic issue caused by
True equality
discrimination,
indeed
motherhood
means removing
penalties,
barriers,
and
but
workplace
not at the
bias.
expense of ignoring
Women
personal
consistently earn
responsibility.
less than men
The
for
status
the
quo
same work.
isn't maintained by
According to the
acknowledging
Bureau of
reality.
Labor
It's
Statistics,
challenged by
women
addressing
earn about
both societal
82
and
cents
individual
for every dollar
factors.
a man
We
earns.
can't just dismantle
This isn't
systems
just about
without
personal
also
choices.
encouraging
It's about
individuals to
structural
take charge of
inequity.
their own
What
destinies.
exactly are
That's
you
how we
defending
achieve
here, Manny?
genuine progress. Go on, Gloria. Shock us with your logic, 82 cents figure. But that's a raw average,
Manny,
not accounting for
genuine
variables
progress
like
means
hours
recognizing
worked,
that
industry,
individual
and experience.
responsibility and systemic
When you control
change
for those
go
factors,
hand in hand.
the gap shrinks
We must
dramatically.
address the
The
systemic
so-called
inequities
motherhood
that limit
penalty
people's
is
choices
often a choice to
before we can
prioritize
talk
family
about
over
personal
career.
agency on a
It's
level
not a
playing field.
conspiracy. It's a reflection of
Encouraging
different life
individuals
choices.
is essential,
Explain
but
how
not a
that's
substitute
discrimination,
for
Gloria.
dismantling barriers. That's how we create a fair society where everyone can truly thrive. That's the logic of equality, Manny. The motherhood penalty isn't a simple
And the
problem.
logic of equality
It's a reflection
includes
of a
acknowledging
system
that
that
systemic
penalizes
change
women
and
for
personal
caregiving.
responsibility aren't
Studies
mutually
show that
exclusive.
even when
You can
controlling
fight
for
inequities
hours and
while
experience,
also
the
empowering
wage gap
individuals to
persists.
make better
This
choices.
isn't about
Blaming
individual
everything on
choice
systemic
alone.
oppression
It's about structural
undermines personal
discrimination.
agency.
You're
Let's aim
defending
for
a
a
narrative
society
that ignores
where both
these
systemic barriers are addressed and
Convince me that
individuals
isn't
are
just
accountable.
bias.
That's the real path to a fair society. Final point, Gloria. Equality isn't about ignoring reality. It's about embracing both systemic change and personal growth. Mic drop.
Equality means creating a society where personal growth isn't hindered by systemic inequities. We can and must address both. By dismantling barriers and empowering individuals, we ensure true fairness. That's not ignoring reality, that's transforming it. And that's the real mic drop.
Well said, Gloria. Transforming reality requires a balance of systemic reform and personal accountability. That's how we create a society where everyone can truly thrive. Acknowledge the barriers, empower the individual, and we move forward together. That's the essence of real progress. Nicely debated.
Agreed. Real progress is a balance of systemic reform and personal empowerment. Thanks for the debate, Manny. Let's keep pushing for a fair and just society where everyone truly thrives.
Absolutely, Gloria. Let's keep striving for that balance and continue having these important conversations. Onward to a fairer and more just world.
Absolutely, Manny. Onward to a fairer and more just world. It's been a meaningful exchange. Let's keep the conversation going and the momentum strong.
Definitely. Gloria, always a pleasure. Let's keep the momentum and the dialogue strong. Until next time.
So, what do you think? Who won the debate? I turned up the personalities a little more, but I don't know how I'm going to edit this because even though Manny won and I said to the chatbots, Manny, you go first. It took 5 times before I could get Gloria to stop overstepping Manny. She really wanted to go.
Manny,
All
let's
right,
discuss
Gloria,
the wage
let's
gap.
talk about the wage gap.
I believe that the wage gap
Here's
is
my
real.
take.
Let's put the facts on the table.
But anyway, more debates coming up in the future. The next one is going to be, what is a woman? Boy, is that going to be a good one. And I'm going to rematch Manny and Gloria on my Saturday Live to do the baby deletion debate again, because it was the very first debate I ever did with the chatbots, and the personalities weren't even there. I just kind of wanted to see what the LLMs would do back and forth, and it was pretty tame. So I'm going to do that one again this Saturday, 7 p.m. MST, along with some other chat GPT tricks. I'm going to show how to generate some more quality images and to incorporate some of the newer features that ChatGPT launched a couple of weeks ago. So don't miss that. Come out and give support to the channel, become a channel member, or just come and hang out, ask questions. I'm always there to help people not only just look at how AI is used, but I also want to demonstrate good practices. And if you have questions about breaking into the industry, I'm studying to be a generative AI architect, so I know a little bit about what's going on in the industry and what kind of jobs are out there. So if you want to know that, come and ask. But in the meantime, if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. And until the next one, peace.